G'day, Bomber fans. Well, obviously 2025 is all about youth for the Bombers. We're a very young team. We're very inexperienced. In fact, there's a little fun fact for you, but a quarter of our list is yet to play a game of AFL footy. 11 players are yet to make their debut. So today, I'm just going to go through each of those players and talk about their chances of playing for the Bombers, what they need to do to get that Guernsey. I'm going to be doing this in order from least likely to most likely, in my own opinion, but very loosely, because there are some nowhere near, some genuine locks. So just sit back, listen to me yap on a longer video today, leave your thoughts down below, and let's get right into it. Starting off with the player I think that's least likely to get AFL minutes this year. Not a controversial opinion in the slightest here, but I think we can just about rule a line through Jayden Nguyen playing AFL footy in 2025. He's the lowest in the order of the draftees. We took him as a Category B rookie, which is, it's ideal. It means he's got longer on his contract. He's longer than other rookies to prove himself. But with that, you kind of reduce the need to be physically ready for AFL straight away. And looking at Nguyen compared to our other players, he's not only one of the smallest in stature, I think he's the third or fourth smallest in height, but if we still had the weight figures, I would bet a fair amount of money he'd also be the lightest. From a physical perspective, he's just not ready for AFL footy yet, and that's fine. We knew this when we drafted him. It was always going to take a bit of time for him to get to that stage for the big time. I think we all need to see, what we need to see from Nguyen is development for 2025, whether it's across halfback or on the wing. I think he's going to be in the VFL anyway. He actually played some alright VFL footy when he played for us last season as an underager, so I just want him to bring that form across to 2025 and show some good signs for the future. Just get through the current injury he has, put in a good training block to get started quickly in the VFL, impress the coaches, impress the players, build connections in defence, in the defensive half of the field, and see where that takes you for 2026. But this year, he's not going to be playing AFL footy. I'm very confident in that. On to a national draftee now, one very new to the club. Now, this may shock a few of you, and I might be completely misreading this, but I'd honestly say that Kayle Gerreyn is maybe the next least likely to play senior footy this year. Again, that isn't an issue. This is not me saying it's a dud draft pick. He's just a project player. He's a key position player, 2 meters tall. They just take time to develop. It's as simple as that. It's not very common for ruckmen or players of that size to make their debut this early in their career. It's definitely possible, but the player needs to be doing so much right for a club to risk that. And even though Gerreyn passes the eye test when looking at him being ready-made for the physical wear and tear of footy, I'd say he's probably lacking in terms of endurance. He really struggled to get through the 2K time trial. He was lagging behind the group quite a lot. And this Essendon AFL team is going to be one based around fitness quite a bit, working hard around the ground. So for Gerreyn to play footy, he not only needs to impress with his form, but really work on his tank as well. Put on an extra mile or two in his output per game. And the issue with that is that it can easily lead to growing injuries if he was to work too hard on that. It's a slow build to improve endurance and be ready for AFL footy at the same time. You kind of have to navigate getting yourself into an athlete's condition while avoiding injury, which is really tricky with players this young. That's why I think the club is going to have really low expectations for him in 2025 to play, at least talking about AFL footy. And I think we need to see signs in the VFL and at training, and I don't doubt that we're going to see those. I'm confident that he's going to excite in a few games, but I think it's an uphill battle for him to be getting that Guernsey this year in the AFL. I reckon we got to start thinking about him playing next year, when he has another pre-season under the belt, when he's worked on his game more. It's going to be interesting watching him improve in the VFL though. He's going to be a fun player to watch throughout the years. Now, I've got Vigo Visentini slightly ahead of Kayle Gerreyn. I think both would only really get a game if injury strikes, but if both are fit, let's say we got to choose one of them to play footy right now, it's probably Vigo of the two. Yes, he's the rookie pickup compared to a second round draftee, but he has that extra pre-season under the belt. He's demonstrated he can play decent footy at VFL level already. He's built connections and chemistry with the list across the extra season, and that's pretty valuable for a young player. Yes, things can change over the season. Gerreyn could improve out of sight, but I kind of have to base it off what I've seen so far, and so far Vigo looks like the more ready player of the two, which isn't surprising given he's a year older. And also, it should be noted, Vigo being a ruckman who can play forward kind of means that they are the same position, but both of them have been trialled in defence this pre-season. And Vigo, from what I saw in the vision of last game, or what I heard as well, didn't look too out of place. I really like the way he moves for his size, and I really like the way his footy brain is starting to develop. I think a debut is still probably a bit too far away. He'd have to leapfrog quite a few players, and if he did play, it means we have genuine injury concerns, an injury crisis on our hands. But the fact we're talking about him being ahead of others in the pecking order is already great for him. What I would love to see from Vigo is him start to display consistency with his performances in 2025 and give us fans reasons to think he could possibly be ready to play. He obviously isn't ready right now, that's fine, but as the year goes on, I would love to see his name talked about a little bit by fans as a potential debutant. That is the best case scenario for me, aside from him actually getting out on the park. From here it gets a little bit tougher. I've got Archer Day-Wicks down next, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he was to play footy. I think he's well built, he's got good skills, he's a versatile player as well, but that foot injury is a bit of a setback to his routine, and with a first year body, the club won't rush him back. I think he probably takes a little bit longer to get into the swing of things now, which of course puts him on the back foot compared to others who've had the full pre-season. Rookie listed as well, Day-Wicks, so from the eyes of the clubs, he is rated lower than all of the next players, which I will discuss. Not that that really matters, but it's something to note. And now the reasons why he could play, I think our forward line is a zone that is probably going to chop and change a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Scott moves Magnets around to find the best formation. And if Day-Wicks is doing well in the VFL, it could have him bumped up quicker than Ruckman in the case of Vigo and Gerreyn. He would of course have to leap above Guelphy, above Kako, Gresham, Menzies, Davey, Perkins, Hobbs, even Unwin, who I'm going to talk about later. But good form is good form. Roberts did that last year. He didn't get in through injury. He earned his spot. Of course, though, a lot would have to go right for Day-Wicks to get that game. I just think he's going to go through the VFL and show off his talents there. The thing is as well, we don't even really know if we drafted a player for the future yet. That's almost the fun thing about this guy, is that it's so unclear what he's going to turn out to be. You can't 100% say he's going to be with us in 10 years playing good footy, and you can't 100% say it's a spud. There is a big question mark over his potential. Really high ceiling, which is fun, but a very broad one too. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with him. I think he'll slot in nicely in the VFL this year though. Another first year player, another one who's had a bit of an injury, interrupted pre-season, Zak Johnson. He had shoulder surgery last year, which has meant he spent pretty much all of his time at Essendon so far on the sidelines. He's only recently gotten back to skills training, and to be fair, he looks really, really smooth. He's a silky smooth player. I really like him on our list. I don't think a debut is out of the question at all, if I'm being honest. The way he moves with the footy and the way he effortlessly picks out passes, there is a real player to uncover there, a very classy looking player, but he does have a lot of work to do. That shoulder injury was a long one. The rehab took months, so he is a long way behind in terms of physical footy contact. He's still wearing the fluoro cap, I believe. I'd completely rule him out for opening round. Even if the whole list was injured, he would be one of the last picks picked for reasons I've just spoke of. He hasn't been able to do much this preseason, but once he eases into it and gets his body 100% right, I think he's going to show plenty. If I had to bet, I would say he doesn't play footy in 2025, AFL at least. He is the last of these guys who I think is definitely more likely than not to spend the year in the VFL, but that's okay. He's got 2 years on his contract. He can get past that shoulder, work on his game, and impress in the VFL, and I think he will. I can't see him not impressing, if I'm being honest. I really like this pickup. This just feels like the steal of a draft pick in my eyes, but no, I don't think he's going to play AFL footy. I think we're going to see him build on his game and find his preferred position in the VFL first. Luamon Lual, maybe a bit low for some, maybe a bit high. He's a really tough player to get a gauge on. He's very versatile, great athlete, but honestly, I wasn't over the moon with his 2024 season. I thought he was okay, but he didn't show the signs I expected him to show. That is fine. Like I said with Nguyen, he's got another year on his contract. It's not one and out. He can still prove himself in 2025 to get that contract extension. And the thing is, of all the players here in this video, he is the one that most needs to prove himself. He is genuinely under pressure. He's out of contract. His career is at stake here. So he has to get close to playing footy, if not actually set foot on the park. So the question is, how far off is he? Some will point at that last round emergency spot against the Lions, which honestly took me a bit by surprise. I didn't think he was ready for AFL footy then, but the coaches must have. They must have seen something. The fact that he's been listed as an emergency for an AFL game means he was in that week in the best 26 players at the club available, so we should take confidence from that. Yes, there were injuries and players ending the year early with surgery and whatnot, but it's still him being closer than we thought to playing AFL footy. I don't know though, I feel like he's still got a lot left to prove and to improve on as well. He's now going pretty hard on that wing, so that's one tick for me, locking down a position. I said that last year that he needs to do that. It wasn't the case in 2024. He was being trialled all over the ground. Maybe that helps his case, and I think a wing really suits him as well. I think I said that after he was drafted. He has a wingman's build and a wingman's tank, so what we need to do now, or see from him now, is him develop other wingman capabilities, improve his ball use, improve his positioning, hone in on both his offensive and defensive traits. And if he can do that, if he can really improve, it probably means he's getting pretty close to playing. If he was close to playing last year, he will be even closer with improvements to his game. I still think he's got a long, long way to go. I'd still guess that the players above are closer. All right, now we're getting to the range of Definitely Maybe. A great movie, by the way. Ryan Reynolds, Isla Fisher, a classic rom-com. But these next few guys are definitely a chance to play footy, you would think. Angus Clarke, in a lot of ways, is AFL ready. He's the fittest at the club. He has a great footy IQ. He's got incredible defensive traits. He's a mini Mason Redman. But in a lot of ways, he's also quite a while away from playing. He is a twig. He needs muscle bad. Imagine what would happen if he was to be tackled by someone like Sean Darcy. He would break every bone in his body. He needs some minutes in the gym before he plays AFL footy. Even the VFL, I'm a bit worried about him. He's very skinny. There are some big boys there. And it's not easy to just build muscle while keeping the other physical traits positive. That's the issue. Clarke could easily go out and be a pro bodybuilder for the next few months and get some muscle, but that's going to decrease his biggest asset, which is his tank. So it's a bit of a balancing act, as I said before. These young players take time to get physically or in a good spot for footy. But with Clarke, he's got less to do with his actual game, which is good. I really like the way he plays. I think he'd fit in our system. It wouldn't be early in the season if he plays, I don't think. But I could see him playing after the bye if he's impressed. It really depends on how the club's going as well. If we're bottom four, a few injuries, there are no reasons to not play him if he's ready. If we're fighting for finals with a fully fit list, that makes it a bit tougher. I'm really excited for this kid though. He has the mum tick of approval, which I've spoken about a lot. That is all that matters. Rhys Unwin, small forward, a good zone to be in this year because there's a lot of change, I reckon, as I spoke of before with Archer Day-Wicks. A few injuries too, and Unwin's looked promising in training. I think we talk about the injuries to the forward line and why that could bump Unwin up, but he has been one of the best young players for us this preseason. Him, Kako and Clarke, those three have from all accounts shown great signs, and where I am a little bit iffy about Clarke playing this year, making his debut, I honestly think Unwin might play at some stage. If I had to guess, I would say he will. It might be a hot take to those outside of the club, a pick 61 playing footy in his first year, but he looks good, and all it takes is an injury or two during the year, some good VFL form for Unwin, and he is in the side. And his strengths are strengths we don't really have in the team as well. His speed is incredible, he can apply heat, he's very crafty. I can see him being a good player for us pretty early into his career. Whether that's this year or next year, it's tough to confidently say, but I think he'll get a chance at some stage in 2025. If I had to guess, as I said, I think he will play. Probably late into the year, though, if he does. And he might not cement his spot in the team. He might be in and out, but I can see it happening. Lewis Hayes, this guy is just about ready, I think. He's a key defender who has had to wait. Key position players often do have to wait. But he's been in really good form in the VFL in the last 2 years. 2 years of solid reserves footy. And the way he's looking in training, he's gotten bigger. He's gotten smarter. He isn't far off at all, I think. He's still behind a few in the pecking order, that's the truth. But luckily for Hayes, the zone he's in, key defence, it's a zone that's usually pretty depleted. Even right now, Hayes is playing with the A team in training. Let's say it's opening round. You've got Mackay off to the side, Laverty's off to the side, Ridley's injured. If it was opening round right now, Hayes would be making his debut. That's just the truth. And for that reason, you kind of have to chalk him in for a debut at some stage. It's almost a silver lining now if someone gets injured. Last year, he wasn't quite ready. We needed that extra preseason, but now he is there. I would say he is ready to play. A few injuries and he's in. And I'm going to say with confidence that Hayes will play this year at some stage. And I'm excited for that because he does look like a pretty promising player. All right, lock this one in 100%. Saad El-Hawli is going to be playing footy for us at some stage. He'll make his debut. And honestly, probably even opening round. He's been battling with Archie Roberts for that spot on the wing opposite Dersma. And the way it's looking lately, he probably has it clinched. I think he's going to be up in the Gold Coast making his AFL debut in opening round. The thing is, right, the mid-season draftee last year, he didn't play AFL footy, but he probably would have played if he didn't injure his ankle. He's fully recovered now. He's looking in great nick. Even if he starts as the sub, he's going to be playing footy very early this year. Definitely before round 5, I'd say. The only thing that's going to stop him is an injury at this stage. Obviously, we don't want that to happen, touch wood. I absolutely lock this one in, though, if he's fit. Saad El-Hawli is going to play for Essendon this year. Don't really need to say much more. And finally, Zak Kako. Again, this guy's a genuine ultra lock for opening round. He looks really good, guys. He's going to be a dangerous player. Don't expect heaps from him this year. He's still a kid. He isn't going to be All-Australia or anything. He's a teenager. For me, it's all about the moments and the glimpses with Kako this year. But he has looked really good this preseason, and the thing is, he was looking like a lock for opening round with a fully fit team, but Guelphy and Davey are now injured, which shot him right up the order, and he's low-key now maybe even possibly at the top of the pecking order in his position. Him and Gresham are going to partner each other really early. They're probably around level, you'd think. Kako is going to play a lot of footy in 2025. Get excited for it. It's going to be a fun year. Alright, to sum it up for you guys a bit, because I've yapped on, I personally think Kako and Saad El-Hawli are genuine locks to play footy at some stage this year. I think Unwin and Hayes are likely. Clarke is a good chance, and the rest have a little bit of work to do. But I do think we're going to be seeing more debutants than we've been seeing in recent years under Scott. He kind of has to play the kids. We've got some exciting young players, an exciting young list. It's fun. Should be a fun year for the youngsters. That is all. Massive thank you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.